This is a wireless video transmitter, and it's not only super small and lightweight, but also under $100. So if you're here because you're wondering whether you should be buying this, instead of you watching the entire video, the short answer is yes. But if you want to find out why, keep on watching as I'll go into a bunch of more details as to why I think you should be picking these up. Before we continue though, I do want to say that Shimbol did send me this for me to review and test, but this is not sponsored by them and all the thoughts are my own, and they do not get to see this video before it goes out to you. So it comes in this tiny box. So we have the transmitter and the receiver on a bright red, as well as a USB-C cable. So the entire thing is built of aluminum, which is really nice over here, the red part, but the top is plastic. But before you go ahead and be like, why is it plastic? It's because it has a built-in antenna, and that sits inside this top part here. If it was covered by metal, then you wouldn't get as good enough signal for this to communicate with each other. So they are fairly lightweight, very small, very compact, almost like the size of a really tiny phone. But I'm not a big fan of the super bright red. I feel like it could be quite distracting when you're on set, but that's just a minor thing. So they both look very similar, the transmitter and the receiver. You can tell which one's which by the RX here, the receiver, and the TX here that it shows you in the corner of each of these items. Another way you can tell the difference is that the receiver has two HDMI out ports right there, whereas the transmitter has an HDMI in and HDMI out. And I'll show you later on in this video how you can set these up and how you go about connecting these to your camera and to a video monitor. Both of these take NPF batteries and can also be powered via USB-C. They also both have 1/4 inch threads, so you can mount this to a tripod, to a stand, or anything you like. But if you want to mount these to a cold shoe, unfortunately you have to get one of these separately. So one of these that goes to 1/4 inch into cold shoe. So that's a minor inconvenience, but I have a link in the description if you want to know what these are called or where to pick these up. So in terms of buttons and controls, you get the battery port here that has a locking mechanism so that you can't really take it off unless you press on the eject button right here. So you press that and you can eject it. You can turn on both of these and the lights will start flashing, which takes about 20 seconds to pair. So one thing that it's not intuitive in my opinion is that you get this play button that does not play anything. It just tells you the battery level. So there'll be 4 dots if the battery was at full, but that tells you the battery level. And the stop button is to pair both of these together if they were not paired straight out of the box. So a little bit not very intuitive when you have a play and a stop button for battery and pairing. So other than that, it only has those 2 buttons and the on and off button, so super easy to use and set up. So in order to set these up, we'll install the transmitter on top of the camera because this is what will be transmitting that video signal into that external video monitor. And then we'll connect our HDMI cable to the in, with this out coming from the camera. I probably need a longer HDMI cable, but okay, let's adjust this. So this is quickly set up, transmitter, camera. Now the next thing we'll be setting up is the receiver, which is this one, the RX, and this we will just hold it because I don't have enough stands right here with me. We have a little video monitor over here. Now with the receiver, you get 2 HDMI out ports, and that just means that you can send this to 2 different video monitors if you wanted to. Maybe a bigger one to your director and maybe one to whoever needs to review the footage on the spot. And then this will plug into the in part, the HDMI in on this monitor. And that is pretty much how you set these up. So let's see how long it takes for these to communicate and pair as soon as I turn them on. Okay, on timer. So this shows up once they start to communicate, and it tells you how to connect all of this. Okay, about 23 seconds. So it takes a little bit of time, but not too long. So Shimbol claims a latency of 0.07 seconds. And in my test, that was a little bit longer, closer to the 0.20 seconds. So about 0.20 seconds in terms of latency, which isn't bad at all, actually, so not bad. In any case, the latency is actually quite low for a system at this price point. And for most shooting scenarios, that sort of latency is not going to affect you at all, unless you're filming fast action and you really need to nail that focus. So that's the only time this might not really work out, because every single millisecond counts at that point. But for most of your shooting scenarios, 0.20 seconds, not an issue in my opinion. In terms of the transmission range, Shimbol claims that it has a 600-foot transmission range, and that will depend whether you have a lot of obstruction in between. In real-time filming scenarios though, you might not really be at such a distance when you're monitoring whatever is happening on set. And if you really needed that range, then these ones are probably not your best bet. So let's try to test this transmission range. So I have here the monitor, testing it, and I'm gonna go all the way 3 floors down, maybe down there, about there. And let's see, we'll play this side by side and see what happens. But right now about 20 meters. Turning a corner. We'll see if the thing is still kind of delayed or if it's transmitting anything. All right, let's see. So this was a bit of a stress test. The connection actually broke as soon as I got to the first floor. So this test did not actually work because I actually went through my entire house, because I went through a lot of walls and a lot of things that would just block the transmission. But this wouldn't happen in a normal filming scenario anyway. That's where the other transmitter is. So, should you get these ones? Well, I already told you earlier on in the video, my answer is yes. For a super budget friendly solution to monitor video wirelessly, these are perfect. They are not only small, compact, and super easy to use, they're also under $100, which I believe it's probably the cheapest video wireless transmitter out there that is at this price point that doesn't suck. And if you're interested in this, I'll be leaving a link in the description below for you to check this out.